Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. I have another fabulous guest with me today. I'm so lucky to have all these amazing sex coaches join me on this podcast. It is actually, I think, one of my highlights of my week is just connecting with fellow sex, love, relationship coaches and just talking our talk and understanding, how we've used it in our own lives and how we use it with our clients and how we use this work to really change our lives. And it's so, so powerful. And today I have Isabel Lamar with me, and we are going to dive into the importance and how important it is to come back to our core, come back to our truth, come back to our Eros. And we're going to break that all down. Isabel is also a sexuality, empowerment, relationship, and I love this, and leadership mentor. So welcome.
Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you so much. It's nice to be here with you today and to have. I also love having all these sexy conversations with our, community. And it's always like a delightfulness to connect with other women that do the same work in their own flavors and yeah, how we are spreading this like energy of like, okay, you can also connect to your power, to your eros, to your turn on, and create a life that it's great beyond your dreams, not just in the bedroom, but also beyond the bedroom, which is
Oh, yeah.
amazing. Yes.
So beyond the bedroom. Sure, the bedroom's great. The orgasms are great, but what you can manifest, what you can create, how you can live in your truth, in your core, trusting your pelvic bowl and creating a life that you know is fully aligned and actually turns you on in the yes, I can't wait to wake up in the morning and go serve my people and go do what I need to do. There's such power there. And I mentioned the word Eros in there, and I want to break that down for people because people might be like, Eros, what's Eros? Maybe you know, maybe you don't, right? But that is also another word for your turn on, for your sensuality, for your sensual and sexual power, for that pelvic bowl energy for female identifying humans, where we're just like tapped in, connected, tuned in, alive, our essence, our vitality, our juiciness, everything. And it's our life force energy. That is what Eros is. And so many of us have been disconnected from our sexuality, from our sensuality, from our Eros. And it leaves us very disconnected from our bodies, very disconnected from our hearts, very disconnected from our truth. And leaves very many women. I see this very frequently. I'm sure you do too. It leaves us disconnected from our purpose, unhappy, depressed, feel like something's wrong with us. And the solution is actually to come back to body, come back to yourself, come back to your truth, to your power, which may be reconnecting to your sexuality and sensuality, but it may be reconnecting to your wise, innate intuition that lives within you, which also comes within the body of Eros.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's so
Yeah.
powerful. It's so
Mhm.
powerful. Let's hear, how do you use your Eros, your turn on, your sacred pleasure to navigate and come back to your power, especially in challenging times in life? Because let's admit it, life's not always easy.
No, it's not.
I
It's not.
just
And
want to share that even before you go on. Like most people might be thinking, looking at us, we're turned on, we're fun, we're in our Eros, our lives must be amazing. No, I just want to like disclaimer, no, there's hard shit going on. So please continue.
Mm. I mean, I've got millions of stories around when life was not easy and like reconnected to my ex. It's just like it's a constant place that it's really interesting because when we go through some big things in life, big life transitions, so big patches in life, naturally we go back into trying to solve that. So we go into this like unhealthy inner masculine that it's like, okay, like I try to go and I try to bring structure and goals and this and that. And there's this energetics of pushing,
Mm.
this
Mhm.
big energetics of pushing. But anytime that that part of us, I think it's activated, the biggest medicine is to go to the opposite, to go to the empowered feminine, which it is our pleasure. It is our errors. Even like if we go through, like, let's say you've got a busy day at work and you're really overwhelmed because you've got like millions of things to do and there's the family and this and that. We can go into like a straight action mode and we're already overwhelmed, stressed, everything is not working. It's already like, when we're stressed, we're stressed. But if instead of that, we come back to our core, to our sex, for our pleasure, we get to breathe into it, we get to tap into our eros, to tune into like how what can bring us pleasure in that present moment. Because the reality is that you can't change what you have to do. You can change the energetics of how you do it.
Yes.
And just doing that, or find a way in some ways to bring some pleasure in that experience, even in a connection with a friend. I give you an example. I went to a festival on the weekend and I was going to facilitate this, I facilitated this festival. And the festival was not good. Just gonna say
Mm.
it was not good. It was
Love
just
it.
not good. My workshop was amazing. The festival was not good. And there was
I
this
love your honesty.
energetics. Huh?
Love your honesty. Yeah, wasn't good.
It was not good. And it was interesting because even like my roommates, they were complaining about the festival. They were like, there was this energy of like, I want to go back home and this and this and that. And I kept staying into like, wow, we're in the countryside. This property is amazing. Like I could feel like beauty and gratitude for what was there and some pleasure in myself. Like I was like, actually, I'm grateful I'm here. Who cares? Like I'm here with you. It doesn't matter. Like, I had some
Mm.
friends there. And as simply as staying connected to that. And then I've put on a song that just changed the energy in our room completely. We
Mm.
started dancing. We had this amazing time. In the morning, we left the festival. We went visiting this beautiful city, like at the beach. We went for a swim. And it's like, I had the best weekend and they had the best weekend. But the energy around us and also their energy was like, oh, it's not good. And we often go through life with like, it's not good, it's not what you expect. So like other people maybe lower your energy and your frequency, but how can you come back to yourself? And sometimes it might be easier, sometimes not, but how can you come back to that juiciness, that aliveness, that eros, and see what can you
Yeah.
do in that moment?
Exactly. And I love this. I love that you brought this up. And some people might be like listening if they're not familiar with our full work playing with Tantra and how we go into sacred sexuality, they may be like, but I'm not in a relationship right now, or I don't know how to do that, or my partner doesn't want to, have sex in the middle of the day. No, there's actually another way to come back to your own sacred power and your Eros, basically. There's other ways to do that. And that is through sacred practices, meditations, rituals, pleasure practices, whatever it may be. I give different ones to my clients. Some are 15 minutes because I know they need short little minis. Others are 30 minutes. Other times they're 40 minutes. And I also enjoy a whole pile of different pleasure practices. I did one yesterday. It's so funny that we just started talking before the call. I was like, what do you want to talk about today? What feels alive? And immediately Isabel said, let's go, how to come back to our core power. And I was like, oh, well, interestingly enough, I did a power practice yesterday with my Eros coming back to my power because yes, 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 it's so easy to go, okay, I know what to do. Like, right, I'm in the middle of turmoil here and different things going on, and I'm like generator. I can get shit done, like next. And I do it for little spurts of time when I'm in a high energy, which is normally, give or take around ovulation, right? And I get it done and then I rest. But I'm very quick and good at pushing and pushing and pushing if I need to. And I constantly have to remind myself, especially right now, no, it's time to surrender. It's time to come back into my body. It's time to slow down. As much as I could go and plug through a whole pile of stuff right now, or worry and stress over what's going on between, moving and divorce and this and that and lawyers and financial planner and you name it, because I'm holding all of that, I actually have to keep coming back to myself. I have to keep coming back to myself, coming back to my body, coming back to my pleasure. And I have to keep surrendering and trusting my body, my truth, what I know deep inside. Because my head's actually arguing with me, right? My head's like, you don't have time for this. This shouldn't be happening. You could go and do. And even other people give suggestions like that too, right? Why aren't you doing this? It's like, no, it's actually time for me to come back and surrender, to come back and trust and come back and fill up my body with sacred pleasure, with Eros, with my turn on, with my vitality, my essence, my life force energy, and fill my cup because I'm so much more aligned and so much more resourced, right? Grounded in a way that I can actually then handle anything.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, totally, totally.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I love that when you say, like, it's like what you were saying, you fill up your cup, and then the energetics that you bring into, whether it's your work or like in your daily life, it's like it has so much more power, it has so much more vibrancy, and it's magnetic because you have attended to your own energy, to your own magnetism, your own life force, and so that it's felt from others, and of course then others are like, oh, I want something that she has, or like yeah, they're attracted to that energy, and that it's the energy of Eros, it's the energy of our power, of our sexuality.
And that's a good point because remember, I could go back to my 30s or younger, and you look at certain people and you're like, I don't know what she's got, but I want it, right? I want to speak to that because what Isabel and I have is not something we've always had. And I'm assuming, by the way, for you, but it definitely wasn't what I've always had, right? Like, I wasn't the person that everybody's like, I don't know what energy she's got going on, but I want it. That was not me. This is a learned skill that we
Mm,
have learned through tantra, through sacred sexuality, through our training with the amazing Layla Martin, through our sex love relationship certification. That is huge, by the way. It's like over a year. It ends up being about 2 years if you do it back to back to back to back to back.
2+.
2+, yeah. And I still study under Layla. Like that was one of the practices I dove back to yesterday. I could have listened to my own, but I was like, I kind of just need her right now. And when I
Mm,
go to the Costa Rica retreat in a couple of weeks, actually, now this is coming out later, is a couple of weeks back. I'll fill you in December, I guess. But that is the retreat I'm going to, just to, again, be in the energy to continue to deepen and practice under her with my partner in just, continuing my growth, continuing my healing. But this fills my cup in a way that nothing I have ever experienced in all of my first 42 years of life that I ever felt before. It was only once I started doing this work around 41, 42 that it really has created this beautiful life and this beautiful trust within my body, this
mm,
beautiful inner knowing, innate inner knowing, where again, even when my head's like, you shouldn't be doing that, or you should be doing this, I'm like, no, body said yes, or body said no, and I trust it full out. And that is not easy to do when you've got the world saying no or yes, and your brain's, saying the same, and then your body's like,
mm,
but we're going this way.
mm,
Um, and
mm,
it's beautiful what happens actually when you do listen and follow body and trust is all
mm,
these things I notice start popping up. It's like the universe like pops up to support you in ways that you could not have dreamt of. And
mm,
everything does start working so much easier and more seamlessly. And you're like,
mm,
wow, that was easy.
mm, mm,
And that part actually was easy. The hard part was coming back to body, making a decision to come
mm,
back to body when head's like,
mm,
don't have time for that.
mm. Yes, 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 yes. It's, I love it just thinking about this piece of like listening to body, because it's also like, I mean, one of the body of work that I do, it's tantra of money. So it's connecting tantra with money, with finances. So
Mm.
it's like a whole another like piece of it. And it just happened like recently for me, just last week, I put down a deposit for the biggest business investment I've ever made. It's like multiple
Mm.
six figures, and it's like all everything in my mind, like I'm not in the right time of my life to do it. I'm like moving houses, still haven't found a house. There's nothing logical to make that decision and to say yes to it. Nothing, nada. But my body, my Eros, my turn on, even if it's scary as like it was like, yes, you need to do this. And to take these leaps of bravery, like to follow like our body, sometimes it's really not easy at all. It's like there's everything. And then if you ask people that haven't done this work, that they're not like used to like take risks in life, and they just keep playing into like, yes, it's okay, it's good. I'm like, you can have exceptional, you can have sensational, like you live one life. And I'm like, how can you play in that edge of growth where it's like you take these risks to expand, to do something that maybe before you haven't done it. Maybe you are still where you are because you haven't done that step. Maybe it's, studying tantra. Maybe it is like making an investment. Maybe it is really being honest about where you're at in your relationship, or like maybe it is something else. But how can you allow yourself to feel that fear and to maybe ask people that maybe have done it before you, instead of people that are like, no, you should be doing like, this is not
Mm,
logical.
hmm.
Inquire with
Yeah.
people that are where you would like to be, because those people most likely are going to be like, do it, and I believe in you. Because when we have these supports in life of people that believe in us, it's one of the biggest medicines ever, that allows us
Hmm.
to like, okay, I feel like almost I've got somebody there holding my back to do something that it's edgy. For me, it was even edgy to sign up with Layla to do the course.
Oh,
Like,
yes.
I was like, what? And all
I
like
think
the
I was in Spain
cultural
when I
shame.
signed up. Yeah.
Huh?
You're in Spain now. I think I was in Spain when I signed up to work with Layla in what, 2019. I was
Yes,
on a
I think
cruise.
we
I
were
think
in
we
the
were in
same year.
Spain, and I had to accept it like in August 2019, and I was like, this is insane. And yet my whole body was like, yes. And yes, it has changed my life, but fears will come up. And something you said in the beginning, and you said it again, these challenges, these life challenges that are coming at us, there is medicine in there when we lean in and trust. There is deep medicine and healing that comes from trusting. And that's what I mean by it's beautiful to watch the universe just pop up and hold you when your body is leaning left and your whole brain and the rest of society is saying, no, go right. And you're like, this is nuts. But I'm doing it because my body said yes. And I cannot self abandon anymore because I've had enough evidence with little things. First, I had to practice. I didn't learn how to listen to pussy and pelvic bowl by jumping into big, multi digit businesses and investments like you're talking about, right? We didn't jump right into that learning to trust body. We started small. We started with, clothing, or what do you want to eat, or do you want to date this person or this person? And your head saying left, go to that person, but your body is like, no, go to the right. Like, can you start trusting in little decisions slowly and slowly? And you get to see this evidence of how you're held so well afterwards, because your body never lies. The body always knows the past, what it's held, what it's dealt with, and it instinctively, intuitively knows the right direction for you. So it's quite beautiful to watch you literally be supported when you felt totally going a total different direction than what everybody says. So it is a medicine, and it's a learning experience. It's beautiful. I can't explain it really fully. It's something that you have to feel, and you have to prove to yourself almost, because your brain's still like, mm-mm-mm.
Mm, mm, mm. And I feel also it changes a lot, like the mindset of how you go into these places, but you naturally go into a container where there's people that maybe do things that you've never done before, or that think in ways you've never thought before. So you're naturally already saying yes to stepping into a container, into a room of people that in some ways are, I will say, empowered in some ways. And so going into these containers with like, okay, there is no other way for me to get out of here feeling amazing, feeling like connected to my pleasure, to my eros, to my sexuality, like going with that energetics, it makes such a big difference. Like I can see it in myself, I can see it in my clients. Sometimes I can feel that their fears are really like on the way, and I'm like, okay, how can you come back to like there is no like it can't not work. Like you decided right now that it's going to work. It's like when I do my course, like, I'm like, this is $1 million course, even if you're not paying $1 million, like come in as if it's $1 million course, because this is the energetics of how you're going to commit and what you're going to get out of it.
Mm.
Because if you come with that, like, okay, I'm going in my fullness because this is going to give me, like, Tony Robbins sort of like energy. And I'm like, if you come in that energetics, you're going to get out so much more out of it.
Yeah, and you mentioned energetics then again, and you didn't earlier in the beginning, and that reminded me of a comment you made earlier of yeah, there it's amazing what happens to tough spots in life that we're having, that we're all experiencing when you come back to yourself and you do shift your own energy, right? You
Mm,
shift your own energy to be more back into your power.
mm,
And the situation kind of outside of you does change way more and way faster than if you just went and hacked at the situation in front of you. It's quite a dynamic that we get to play with.
mm,
It's and I'm sure there's science behind it, but there definitely isn't any words behind it for myself other than you just need to try it. Energetics is a big thing. We
mm,
are made of energy. We are created from energy. And
mm,
when we're walking around with like walking, talking heads, just like not connected to our body, we're missing a really key part, really key part.
mm.
I'd love to know a little bit more of your story. How did you get into Tantra? And where were you at that you were like, okay, yes, I need this? What is your story there, Isabel?
Ooh. Um, hmm, hmm. On one side, I will say that I've always been really curious around sexuality and empowerment since I was a little girl. Like, I don't know if it's me being a Scorpio, it's like it's always been there. Like, it's always been there. I'm like, okay, always really curious and always really curious about these women that felt magnetic. I'm like, there's something in them. There's some energy in there that not everybody has, especially in my family. It was like actually going further and further from feeling like, my mom and, even friends and stuff. And I was like, okay, I was really curious about that. And after like my wild days when I was living in London and being a wild party animal, which it was a great period of my life, but also like, okay, it's great that I experienced it. Um, I found that after that, for me, it started like this path into like spirituality. And I actually, within the first year, went to my very first Tantra sort of festival. It was inspired by Osho. And I started to sort of like get curious about this community. I was like, okay, what is there, what is not there? And then for many years, I studied Tantra by myself. Sort of did some workshops here or there, reading books, but a little bit not fully into it. And always curious, so of course, around sexuality and empowerment. And then 9 years ago, my brother took his life. So I went through a big patch of grief, and that was almost like my stepping fully into it. Because what happened is that in the moment that he did that, like in the weeks after, the following weeks, I had this sentence stuck in my head because the pain was too much to bear. That's the only sentence that was there. It's like there must be something more to life than this,
Mm.
because it was so painful and it kept being there, like there must be something more, there must be something more. And at the time I was connecting with these two women in Australia that were probably the first ones that brought more like workshops around sexuality and stuff like in our community. So they were doing like, full day universe workshops where you like, like they were really teaching. And I remember reading their posts and there was like, you can experience all spots orgasm, cervical orgasm, and this and that. And probably if you experience clitoris orgasm, maybe like you're feeling drained after that. And they were saying all these things. And there was this common thread of like, there is actually more to your pleasure that you're actually experiencing. So I sort of put these two sentences together. There is more to your life, there is more to your pleasure. And I'm like,
Mm.
okay, I didn't even put it together, to be honest, but in some ways, like, because I started to feel some turn on about a few weeks after he passed away, maybe 2 or 3 weeks after, and I felt guilty for it.
Mm,
Like, this just
mhm.
happened, and my body is so aroused, like, I'm like, what, it's there, like, and I didn't have a partner at the time. And I remember the first evening, that probably was the first evening that I self-pleasured after that happened. It was almost like as if my brother gave me permission, because he loved sex, like as most of human
Mm.
beings probably love sex. It was almost like, yeah, go for it. It's almost like as if I heard his voice. And for the following year, I really explored my self-pleasure, but beyond what I've always done. So I got to points I was exploring really, like I read books, like I did workshops, and I was sometimes spending the afternoon having like 4 hours orgasm. Like I was feeling the
Well
biggest
done.
pain and the biggest bliss at the
Mm.
same time. It
Ugh,
was like I was so cracked open that I
wow.
was like experiencing it all. I felt like so alive, like going through death and
Wow.
feeling so, so, so deeply alive.
I'm loving that you found this before you went through the certification. You literally experienced it before.
Sort of like it was just a few years before, because
Yeah.
that happened in 2016. My brother passed away in February 2016,
Wow.
and I started 2019 when you started. So it was 3.5 years after.
But you found the pleasure and the pain both at
I
once without
found
any direction,
I mean, I
instruction.
was I was doing some course, like,
Little
I
bits.
remember I had this woman coming at my place, and she did a full day workshop around our journey, like, teaching us about our pussy, like all the different things. Like she was teaching also Kwadoshka. I don't know if you're familiar with it, all the
Which
different
was?
Kwadoshka.
I'd have to see the spelling. I'm
Yeah,
not
well,
familiar with
I'll,
it.
I'll share it with you. It's like you might have seen the images, like it's different drawings of our like labia, and according to the different drawings, they're called with different names. So there's like the dancing woman, the deer
Ah.
woman, the fox woman,
Oh,
and
I'd love to see it. Yes, please.
yes, it's really fascinating. And each of every these types experiences pleasure a little bit different, and also anatomically, I've got maybe like the G spot differently. Like so, I had
Yeah.
this woman coming there teaching me, and like I did all these little workshops, sort
So you
of
did
for
lots of little stuff.
in
Yeah.
and out. And then I attracted the most beautiful relationship just before the Vita started. And I spent years before healing this thing of attracting unavailable partners. That's something that I'm really
Mm.
passionate these days also with my clients, because it was such a thing. Like I was not available in myself for intimacy. It was something there that I was really scared of relationships. For me, relationships meant yeah, I don't have good role models, so it means like stick together even if you're not happy, sort of thing. And
Mm.
like I didn't have good role models, so it was just like what I was attracting. And then Vita came, and I was following Leila Martin for like at least 3 years, because I also watched all her YouTube videos in these 3 years when I was experiencing like my self pleasure. And I remember that I didn't know what I was doing in my life. I didn't know what I was doing. I was still grieving. I went to a vision quest, and like in the vision quest, the only message I received is like it was all around sensuality, and that I know how to birth myself.
Mm. Yes.
And then for months, nothing was there, but I just felt in peace. I'm like, I don't need to seek what is there for me. I knew that it was coming. And when I received Layla's email, it was there, and I was like, I need to do this. So
Mm.
I need to. And it was massive, like, because my background is from Europe, so there was this cultural shame. Like, my parents are from Italy. It's like, I mean, my dad is from Italy, but it was this like Christian conditioning, and it's like it was big for me. It was actually quite big, and
Yeah.
I think it took me a month to fully process it, to feel like all these feelings coming up about saying yes to the course.
Yeah. There's a lot that's packed in there, right? Thank you so much for sharing your story. And I was referring to a lot packed in there with the course because, yeah, we have religious conditioning, we have shame around our body, we have messages from parents, from teachers. There's so much packed in there. You
Mm,
said something in there and now my brain went blank, but there was such a good point. Oh well, we'll come back to it. It'll come back. But
mm,
there is this deep knowing. Oh, I know what it was now. It was the speaking to more. As soon as you said it, there has to be something more. This is something that I have been saying and hearing in my brain since probably 30, so almost 20 years now, like hearing there has to be something more. Back in 2006, 2008, I was hearing again big message in 2013, all the way through, and it just got stronger and stronger and stronger and louder of there has to be something more. And yes, there is. And
mm,
yes, it's what has shifted me my entire life. It is what has allowed me to heal all of my childhood trauma, my
mm,
teenage trauma, my 20s trauma. Fuck, it's even healing, my past marriage trauma. Like it's allowed me to heal it all. And that's on my own healing it now at this point, right? Because of the work I've done. I can go in, and this is what we teach our clients how to do, to go in and to be with the pain, to be with the trauma, to be with the parts of ourselves that we've cut off, that we've dismissed, and simply bring approval and simply bring awareness and ask them what they need and go in from there and heal those parts of ourselves so that we can, clear them away gently in a very loving way and get down to literally our purpose and who we are, which is underneath these traumas and these things that have happened in our lives, these limiting beliefs, traumas, whatever you want to call it. Once we clear and we can, really do the healing, underneath is this like gold mine of who we are, this gold mine of, oh, you need to, invest in this business, you need to buy this home, you need to start this, you need to invite these people. Like there's this beautiful life that's underneath. You just have to access this gold mine, and everybody's gold mine is different. So if the things that I just listed don't resonate with you, that's okay, because
mm,
my gold mine is different than your gold mine. And the whole point is we're not teaching everybody how to have the exact same gold mine. We're actually teaching our clients how to access
mm,
their own unique gold mine. And it's
mm,
underneath and it's right there. And it's always been there. That's the really cool part. We're not finding
mm,
something and putting it in there. It's been there since you were born.
mm,
It's your life essence. It's who you
mm,
are. It's what you're here to do. So
mm,
that is what's underneath. And
mm.
that is I think that's the core message to there is something more. And I definitely had that message. There has to be something more. I had it for so long until it got so loud that I couldn't ignore it.
And as you were sharing, like I so resonate with your story as well, because something that I missed in my passage, but when my brother passed away, like, yes, I went into my journey with pleasure, but I actually started studying psychotherapy, which was like, it was like that hit that it's like, look at your trauma, like, because I
Mm.
was already like in the spiritual community, but doing like, ecstatic dances and like, like cacao ceremonies and all these beautiful things. So which was amazing, yoga, massage courses or something. But there was like, actually, first of all, if he did that, there's a reason why to begin with. And also like, you come from the same family, there's a lot of things underneath that you actually need to
Mm.
look at. So I really went
Yeah.
into a deep healing journey with that. So yes, I was doing lots of like a deep healing work, and yes, also the pleasure side. And also the pleasure was like, it was blissful, but sometimes I was processing grief through my pleasure. Like it
Yes.
was not just like the like I had tears coming, I had rage coming, like it was a whole like experience.
That is very powerful. When you can bring in your grief and your rage and your fear into your Eros, that's how we get to mix the pleasure and the pain. That's how we teach our people how to do. It is powerful. You can have all of it available, and it is a great way to process whatever you're holding on to. And I like that you mentioned, yeah, you went in and had to do the healing work because, yes, many of us can get caught up in the pleasure realm, right? And it's just bypassing the stuff that we actually need to do underneath. And that'll only hold you for so far and for so long. You actually do need to come back and do, your shadow work. You need to do your trauma work. If you don't want to call it trauma, call it shadow work. You need to do the parts of yourselves that are holding you back, your fears, your conditioning, the messages you received. You need to heal and integrate that part, and then also heal and integrate the pleasure part and mix them together. And when you do, that is where your power lies.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah, such a beautiful journey.
Mm.
What would you say the number one thing you have gained from practicing Tantra?
Mm. Mm. I will say freedom,
Mm.
liberation.
Ooh, yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
That is such a key word. Yeah. Freedom, yes. That's a great way to summarize it. Yeah. I'm impressed you got it down to one or two words. Because I don't think I could. It's given me so much. It's like connection, embodiment, power, pleasure. But you know
Yeah.
what? It's trust, it's safety. But yes, that is what all of those things have given is freedom,
Yeah.
liberation, reclamation.
Like you know, like from that place of freedom, like I feel everything else comes because we often walk with the conditioning of like either things that don't belong to us that are just like, you know, conditionings from society and stuff that are just like just attached to us, but also like with the idea of who we should be, what we should be doing, and all the blocks that that creates in our body, all these like pieces of contraction that's often we're not even aware of. Like often we're not even aware of unless we've done so much somatic work that we actually can catch it when we are got these things attached to us, and this can
Which you
happen.
can do eventually. If you do the work that we do, or work our clients learn how to catch them. My partner is learning how to catch his own too now. Like it
Totally.
happens and it's amazing to catch it.
It totally, and that can happen. A contraction can happen as simply in a conversation with your partner or with your lover. That maybe you don't speak your needs, or maybe you something happens. Like sometimes it's something so little. You don't need to have had the biggest trauma of the universe. Like I think we're all traumatized, to be honest, but still, like we don't need to have a big trauma. Like in the simply daily life interaction, something can happen that can
Mhm.
trigger some contraction and some blocks. And Tantra is what helps me to keep finding the spaciousness of being this limitless human potential that I am in my body, in my being, in my soul, in all of it. Like we are limitless, and Tantra, that's what it keeps reminding me that I can have the love, I can have the business, I can have the abundance, the happiness, the sex, the money, all of it. It's like, and it's in this limitlessness that is created through like a free body, a liberated body.
Mm. You said that so perfectly. Thank you. Beautiful. That is exactly what is possible. That is, yeah, that is what's possible when we come back home to our body through Tantra, through acceptance, through approval, through trust, through safety, and really learn to heal and to listen to ourselves and follow that path of what is true to us, our truth, my truth, your truth. Each of us following our own truth. It's like
Mm.
mic drop, nothing else to say.
Mm. Mm. Totally, totally. And then I love the side effect is that I call it side effect with a smile, because the side effect is that you start attracting people that are like you. Like, and you attract other, I mean, it doesn't need to be a sex
Partners,
coach, other like
friends,
liberated
people.
beings that are like
Yes.
inspiring you to be better, to live with more like expansion, with more freedom, and that it's like the beautiful ripple effect of like you start attracting who you are. So
Mm.
then it becomes really like infinite. It's like there's not like nothing can stop that, because you know your body, you know your liberation, and you know what it's possible.
Yeah, it's like life becomes richer.
Yes.
Everything becomes richer, more fulfilled, more beautiful, more abundant, more love, more pleasure, more holy shit, I get to live this life, more everything. It becomes abundance, a good word, but richer abundance. It's such like, ugh, so such a good way to describe it. Love it. We are going to put all of your information in the show notes as well, but please tell everybody, where can they find you and what do you have going on right now? Because you've also got something going on with playing with your Eros, playing with your power, playing with money. They're so connected, by the way, for those who are listening. They're connected. They've been connected with women for thousands of years. Money and
Oh,
Eros.
totally, totally, totally. Well, you can find me on my Instagram. I feel like that is the core place where you can find me on my website as well. Like my Instagram is Isabel, just with one L, without A, without E, just Isabel _ Lamar. And my website is isabel-lamar.com. And there it's on Instagram is the place where I'm most active. Like I play there, I post videos, reels, everything. So you can find me there and find what it's present and alive. Right now, I'm in the middle of the launch of Tantra of Money. So that it's one of my babies. So Tantra of Money is going to start at the beginning of December. It's an 8 weeks course to really heal this relationship with money. But more than anything, it's really about empowerment, finding like some expanding in that place of limitlessness. It's really like there's lots of energetics. There's also the structure and the practicality and the Eros. It's really like a beautiful like container that it's like gets all the aspects
Love it.
around money. And my other like money and leadership, it's one side where my business leans, and the other side it's a lot around I just loved helping women to feel so turned on, so juicy, so magnetic, and to attract the relationship and the sex and everything that they desire in life. So I do have like a 7 month program called The Magnetic Woman that will be launched later. And I do things with dating. It's you will find all the details on my Instagram, what it's present at the present moment.
Love it. Thank you for sharing. That is amazing. Yeah. And for me, what do I have going on? 2 spots will be open in January for private coaching. I'm actually talking to people now, getting them ready to go for the new year. 2 of those are opening up. And of course, there's always my Jade Egg program on my website, or the Sacred Pleasure membership, which you can always join in and do it your own, self-paced. It's like $44 a month. It's absolutely amazing price point to dive into your own Eros and start playing with your sacred pleasure and seeing what's there. There's a whole pile of content on there, like 18 months worth of content. It's such a full, complete library. It's amazing. And yeah, there's retreats coming up in the new year for couples and for singles. If you want to stay tuned and find out what's happening and when they're coming, go ahead and grab. We'll actually drop one of the links in the show notes too. What practice should we drop? Oh, activate your turn on workbook. That is an awesome way to activate your Eros. We'll drop that into the show notes. And just by, grabbing that free workbook, actually, you're going to also then get the emails for what retreats, what's coming up live. They're going to be delicious. I'm so excited. And yeah, I can't wait to launch all of these yummy things. 2025 is going to be the year. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm really excited. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a lovely conversation playing with Eros and Tantra and money and power. It is the key to reclaiming our power and our sovereignty and our freedom and having the full reclamation that we all deserve. All of us are worthy of this. So thank you. I think it's such an important conversation.
Thank you so much for having me to have this beautiful conversation with you, and also for all the followers for listening to these episodes, dropping in with us. And yeah, it's been an honor and a pleasure to be here.
Yay. Thank you. Till next time, everyone.